Hello chess fans, this is Rick from Chess to Impress reporting on the tiebreak of the 2018 World Championship match between the champion Magnus Carlsen and his challenger Fabiano Caruana. After 12 classical games, the match was tied 6-all with 12 draws, so we had to go into a tiebreak, which was played on Wednesday the 28th of November 2018, and this is how it all started, the handshake before the first tiebreak game. In the tiebreak, the time controls were reduced. Less time to think for the players. We would start with 4 rapid games, with 25 minutes per player plus a 10-second increment. The drawing of lots happened after game 12 and Carlsen drew the white pieces to start with. If after 4 rapid games the score would still be equal, then we would go to blitz games. And if after 5 sets of 2 blitz games the score still would be equal, then it would be an Armageddon game. 5 minutes for white, 4 minutes for black. But if the game would be drawn, then black would win the match. Let's have a look at what happened in tiebreak game number 1. This is the position after the 34th move from Carlsen, who's playing white, king g1 to f1. We have a rook endgame, and if we count the pawns, white is a pawn up. But black has good compensation. He has an active rook, which cuts off the white king. Black also has an active king. White has weak pawns on a3, e4 and g3. And black also had more time on the clock. Grandmaster Ashley in the St. Louis broadcast, which I followed, said it's all about the counterplay black has with his c-pawn. Black has very good drawing chances here. Caruana played rook c3. Grandmaster Ashley explained this is a step in the wrong direction, releasing white's king from its prison. What black should have played is c3. Then, for example, king e1, just to give a variation. Then black can play rook g2, attacking this weak pawn. Rook takes, and then king e5, very nice move. King f1, and rook a2. Black is giving a second pawn here, but it's all about staying active and keeping the white king cut off. For example, rook c7, king takes e4 with great drawing chances for black. This is just an example variation that was given in the St. Louis broadcast. But as said, Caruana played rook c3. Not giving away the draw, but a step in the wrong direction. King g2 from Carlsen, rook takes and rook takes, king e5 activating the king further, rook c7, and this is a very crucial moment. Caruana played king takes e4, and that turned out to be a blunder because of Carlsen's reply rook e7 check, giving black a tempo that he doesn't want. What Caruana should have played in this position is rook a2 check, chasing the king to h3, that is crucial. King h3 and then take on e4. An important idea for black here is to play king f3 and rook a1 with checkmate threats against white's king, which will give black a draw. We'll see an example of that variation in a minute. So king takes e4 was played by Caruana, and now the very logical rook takes g7 is not as good, because then we get rook a2 check, king h3, rook a1, and if now white pushes that pass pawn, f6, then there is the very nice king f3 with a mate threat. So you cannot play f7 because black wins this game. And after king f3, the white rook cannot give checks to the black king. So king h2 is really the only move, and then we get a move repetition after rook a2. So taking on g7 is not good for white. But as mentioned, Carlsen found the very nice move rook e7 check, giving black a tempo that he doesn't want, and this move was missed by Caruana, as he admitted in his interview after the game. Black took, and only now did Carlsen take on g7, king f6, and Carlsen is going after the h-pawn. a5, running with his own pass pawn, rook takes h5, and white has 2 pawns on the king side versus 1 pawn for black. On the Chess24 broadcast, Grandmasters Fiedler, Geary and Grishuk were not clear about this position. On the St. Louis broadcast, the engine showed that it's winning for white. And Caruana played a4, rook a5 behind the pass pawn, rook a1, king f3, a3, rook a6 check, king back, king g2, a check, and the king goes to h3. The king is going to hide behind his pawn, so that there will be no check in the back from the rook. Rook a1, h5, white starts running with his pawns, king h7, g4, king g7, king h4 and a2. And now white has to be careful. There's a threat of a rook check, and then the pawn will promote. So king g5, hiding behind the g4 pawn, king f7, h6, and by this time it was clear to everybody that white was winning here. Caruana gave up his pawn. Rook a7 check, king g8, and Carlsen took the pawn. Rook b5 check, king g6, one last check, and king h5, and Caruana resigned this game. A very bitter pill to swallow for Caruana, who had missed this very nice rook e7 check idea, which turned a drawn rook endgame into a lost one. Carlsen out-tricked his opponent in his endgame. So it was 1-0 to Carlsen. Let's have a look at what happened in game 2. Caruana was white in his game and Carlsen was black, and we saw another Sicilian Sveshnikov variation as we had already seen 3 times in the classical part of the match. This is the position after the 18th move from Caruana, bishop f1 to e2. Carlsen played bishop g4, and here, according to the engine, the best move is f3, kicking the bishop back, bishop d7, for example queen c2, black can castle then, and white can castle queenside, and then playing for the g4 push and get the play going on the king side. After bishop g4, Caruana chose another move. He played rook c1. Carlsen took on e2, queen takes, and activated his queen with queen f5. And now castling kingside is a good move for white, and the game goes on. But Caruana played a bad move. He played c5. Grandmaster Ashley worded it as follows. He said Caruana saw Carlsen's king in the middle of the board and went on the attack, but he forgot that his own king was also still in the middle of the board. And Carlsen's king was not in the middle of the board for very long, because Carlsen castled here. Taking on c5 would have been less good because of bishop takes. Nice move. It's not a piece sacrifice, because if you take it, then there is queen b5 check, winning back the bishop because of the double attack. For example, queen d7, queen takes c5, and this is good for white. As said, Carlsen castled. And now Caruana should really have gone for taking on d6, and after bishop takes d6 the position is still balanced. But he went for c6, he went forward. b takes, d takes, and now Carlsen has a target on c6, and very importantly, white's king is still in the middle. Carlsen played rook fc8, threatening to take that pawn. Queen c4, bishop d8, knight d5, and e4. Grandmaster Ashley said that bishop d4 is the only chance to slow Carlsen down, but Caruana played c7 instead, and that is a bad move, because Carlsen now sacrificed a piece. A wonderful concept from the world champion. He took on c7, and after knight takes c7 he played knight e5, hitting white's queen. If you go to d5 with the queen, this is one of the variations that was looked at, hitting the rook in the corner. Then there is rook a b8. White can castle, then black can take on c7, because white cannot take back because of knight f3 check. It is check, and it is a discovered attack on the queen. King g2, queen takes d5, black wins. So after rook takes c7 from black, white can take on d6, and that's the only way to try and survive, even though black has a much better position here. He's probably winning. For example, rook takes c1, queen takes b8 check, and then rook back to c8, and black is better. But after knight e5, Caruana did not play queen d5, he played knight d5. And if you now take the queen, then white wins the queen back with a fork, check, and attacking the queen. So king h7, knight takes f5. And this is better for white. So after knight d5, Carlsen did not take the queen, he played king h7, getting out of the knight fork, and Caruana thought for a while and actually resigned here. White is a piece up, but black is totally winning. For the moment, white's queen is hanging. Let me show you one variation to show how bad it is for white. The queen can drop back to e2, but then there is knight d3 check, using the fact that white's king is still not castled. King f1, knight takes c1, hitting the queen. You can play knight e7. I'm just giving the main line from the engine, attacking black's queen. The queen can go to e5. White saves his queen. Black can take on e7 and white can take on c1. The smoke has cleared. If we do a body count, we see that black has an extra exchange and an extra pawn. There are other variations after king h7, but nothing works for white. He's totally lost. And Carlsen had won this game with black and was now leading 2-0. Which put Caruana in a desperate situation. He had now to win game 3 with the black pieces and then also game 4 with the white pieces to send the match into the blitz games. And Caruana chose to play the Sicilian as black, dropping his Petrov defense. He had to win this game. This is the position after the 29th move from Caruana, bishop b7 to a8. The position is about equal. F takes e5 was Carlsen's move. Queen takes, and now there are different options. White can take the pawn on a6, but then there is queen b2, just to show you a variation. Then white can play b4. The queen can take the pawn, restoring the material balance. White plays b5 and is a bit better here. Another option after queen takes e5 is to play knight d3. A very safe move, asking black how is he going to win this? How is he going to get winning chances in this game? But Carlsen played a sharp move. He played knight d7. Attacking the queen. Queen went to b2, attacking the a2 pawn. And queen d6, entering black's position. Caruana took on d7. Queen takes and took the piece on c2. Black is a piece up, but not for long. Queen a8 check with a double attack on king and bishop. White wins the piece back. King h7, queen takes, queen d1 check, king h2, queen d6 check, and king h1. A perpetual check is no good for black. He played knight d4. Carlsen gave a check, centralizing the queen, and f5. G takes f5 and knight takes f5 was seen as the better move here, with an equal position, and the game is still going on. Black may hope to get some chances against white's king with a nice combination of queen and knight. But Caruana took with the pawn. Queen e3, knight e6. That knight is going on a journey that leads to nowhere. Carlsen decided to start pushing his pawns on the queen side, where he has a 3 against 1 majority. Knight g5 and c5. Queen f6, c6. The knight goes back to e6, where he came from. White is now winning. a4, knight c7, blocking the c-pawn. Queen f4, hitting the knight. Knight back to the e6 for the 3rd time. And queen d6. Caruana gave a check. He's losing. King h2, knight d4. And c7 from Carlsen. Queen c3, protecting the promotion square, but a very nice move. Queen c5, interposing the queen, and the threat is now to promote. Queen e3. Carlsen has a 2nd queen on the board. Caruana's last move was f4, and after queen g4, taking any play against white's king out of the position, Fabiano Caruana shook Carlsen's hand and congratulated him with the successful defense of his world title. The moment of the final handshake, and we see the position with 2 white queens on the board. Confirmation, Carlsen's clean sweep, winning the tiebreak very convincingly. The picture is from the press conference after the tiebreak, and this is a very happy world champion Magnus Carlsen, who said, "I would not say it was easy. The first game was very tough and only in the end I was able to trick him a bit. Game 1 was critical for the tiebreak. After that I felt very calm. The second game was very complicated, but it quickly turned in my favor. After that I feel that I did everything right. I certainly thought I would have good chances in the tiebreak. The classical part was very tough. He's a very strong player. Fabiano was the strongest opponent I had in a World Championship match. I'm very happy. I had a good day at work today. Everything went perfectly. In the last couple of years my game has not been great. The classical part of this match was a step in the right direction. How will I celebrate? I don't know. I'll celebrate for the next 2 years." And on the question if he had any advice for children playing chess, he said, "Keep fighting and a reward will come at the end." Caruana said, "I'm very disappointed. The first game was close, the second game was very bad, really a low point. And in the third game I tried to fight, but did not really get a chance. In game 1 I overlooked rook e7 check, otherwise I would have played rook a2 check, we saw that variation. In game 2 the move c4 c5 was bad, I did not play well at all in that game. I was not in the best physical shape, but I do not want to make excuses, nothing went right today. In the tiebreak I was not playing at his level, or even close to it, and that's a disappointment. And his advice for children playing chess is, if you love the game, you should pursue it. It's a huge struggle, but rewarding as well. And that brings the 2018 World Championship match to a close. It was a titanic battle. The logo there is the beste zet, which means the best move in the Dutch language. It's a internet shop for chess books, and they are very kindly in sponsoring the Chess to Impress channel. The link is in the description box, please have a look. For the moment the website is only in Dutch, but they're working on an English version. Hope you enjoyed this video and the coverage of the World Championship on Chess to Impress. If you did, please give this video a thumbs up. Please subscribe to the Chess to Impress channel and please leave a comment. If you liked the video, it would be great if you could share it on social media by clicking the share button on YouTube. This is Rick for Chess to Impress. Thank you for watching.